My Rich Husband's Secret, the final part. A story by E.B.'s Heart. The chanting continued and even became louder. Byron called the commissioner of police and asked him to send some police officers over to his house. Within 30 minutes, police officers arrived and started spraying hot water on the protesters. Urema's father fell on the ground. Before he could be helped, people marched over him and he sustained serious injuries. He was rushed to the hospital, where he died after some hours. Byron was so furious, he kept talking to himself. I have been living in this town for almost a century. I chose this town because the people here are too naive. Why would this silly girl and her parents try to expose me? Bringing press to my doorstep? I will eat them all. He roared with deep anger. He rushed Urema immediately to tear her apart. He held her hand, twisted and sunk his teeth in her flesh to drain her of all her blood. His servants looked away in fear. Just as Urema was about to pass out from lack of blood, his phone rang. He was startled and he pushed Urema away. He looked at the caller and it was the chief editor of Wawu newspapers, who have been trying to expose Byron. Jackson Aribi have been a journalist for 15 years. He had been trying to expose Byron. The first story he wrote about Byron, he was prosecuted and imprisoned for 3 years. This made him to be following any story about Byron keenly. Byron, on the other hand, have been very careful in choosing his prey. He made sure his preys are poor, uneducated, and unexposed. But Urema and her family are even poorer than his previous preys. Why would theirs be different? This is a question that have defied an answer. Who is this? Byron said on the receiver, "You know who I am, if not you wouldn't have picked my call." Jackson Aribi replied him sternly, "I will make sure I use this smoking gun to finish you. It is a promise. You think it is every poor family that you can use money to shut up? Well, this family cannot be shut up. As I am talking to you now, Urema's immediate younger brother is here with evidence of your visit to their house and pictures of you opening your car door for his sister Urema to enter your car. The young man never trusted you, so he decided to have evidence. Did you know he actually borrowed the camera he used in snapping you?" Jackson said and started laughing at Byron. Every poor person is not so naive and stupid after all. He laughed harder and hung up. Byron screamed angrily and threw his phone at the wall. "I warned them that I do not like pictures. Why did they take pictures of me without my knowledge? I have survived this long because no one ever takes pictures of me. I always sense humans from afar. How did this one slip?" He roared angrily again. The next day, the news of what happened at Byron's house was all over the place. So many radio stations were broadcasting live from his gate. All his connections could not save him, as the case now belongs to the entire town. Even people from the neighboring towns joined in to form a large crowd. They were all stationed at Byron's gate shouting, "Open the gate! Open the gate!" The journalist who broke the news, Jackson Aribi, was at the forefront of the protest. He was videoing people with camera while gearing them to tear down Byron's gate. On the third day of the protest, the crowd was able to pull down Byron's gate and was marching into his home. Jackson Aribi was still urging them to follow him as he kept going in. "It is time to see what is hidden in this house," Jackson said to the crowd. Immediately they got close to Byron's door. Byron, in form of a beast, jumped on Jackson Aribi and tore him into pieces. Everyone screamed and started running for their lives. Byron made sure he killed as much persons as possible. During the commotion, most of his servants ran away. Byron left everything he had and ran too, because his privacy and safety had been jeopardized. He ran straight to Urema's house. Urema's mother, who was mourning her husband, sighted a beast from afar and ran for her life. Byron entered Urema's house and dropped her head on their center table. Apparently he had eaten Urema. He ran out of Jekon town and was never seen again. Urema's mother came back later to see a crowd of sympathizers in her compound. She ran inside her house and saw her daughter's head on her table. She cried bitterly and was lamenting. "We pushed her to her death. All she wanted was to make us proud. Greed and lack of contentment made us kill our own child in such a horrible manner." Urema's head was later buried, the same day her father was buried. Many years later, Byron was seen gallivanting in a new city far away from Jecon. He was seen proposing to another beautiful young woman, named Helen.